in the lives of all people, there is something that they have left behind in the inevitable road to progress or growth. And that you have left behind is your fondest memory, the fondest imagination, and the sustaining love in your heart. Today, when 78 years have happened, when I personally visited and met in different parts of Punjab, these people that have seen partition with their own eyes, that have suffered partition in their own lives, you know what I found? What I found is that most of them don't even remember half the things that happened. They're all in their 90s mostly, also in their late 80s. But what they do remember is the love in their hearts, is their childish emotion. It is their fledgling love stories. This is the treasure that they have carried when they crossed the border and have survived for like 78 years. मैं वापस आऊंगा is just a cut and paste of the stories of the entire generation of people that I have met personally. Sometimes they've forgotten that there was violence, but they have never forgotten the love of their hearts when they crossed the border. And I felt that this story has not been said.
Usually when partition stories are told, you hear about refugee camps, you hear about bloodshed, trains, massacres, this, that, but the gentle of emotions that people carry with them, that's rarely, at least I can't recall, maybe some passages in, something like Train to Pakistan.
I feel that I see things in my life and I imagine things based on what I see, and it raises interest, it raises questions, it raises, it keeps me sleepless at nights about people, about how they are feeling and how the story then develops in my mind. That, I guess, restlessness or that desire to explore more about people, but basically through a certain character, because for me things are half real and half fiction.
Summer vandachu enga kitta vittrunga naanga paathukurom.
GT Holidays, South India's #1 travel brand.
Darling AC திருவிழா இந்தியாவிலே குறைந்த மாத தவணையில் AC.
Satyabama Institute of Science and Technology, Chennai and Sriperumbudur.
Hello Imtiaz, how are you?
Good.
So before a movie gets out, what are you like? Are you a little bit of a nervous state? What do you do? Like, what's your energy like?
My energy is like I'm trying to find work and I have to go into different studios, different edit rooms to find the work, because as a director, I'm used to a chunk of work every day, a lot of work, right? And you get used to it. Then that trickles away and then work becomes small portions. There's a little bit of a mixing fix. There's a little bit of a background music leveling issue. There is something about this computer graphics, VFX mein koi shot ka fire has to be checked. Like if the fire is fine, so smaller bits. So I'm constantly struggling to keep myself occupied.
Okay.
And then there are interviews like the one we are having now, which actually is the only time I go back and think about the film that I've made and where my life is going as a filmmaker.
Do you think about the film that you've made on the editing table? Because that's where what you've done is finally there, right?
No, but on the edit, I am actually doing the edit. So my focus is not on an overall. My focus is on the shot or the scene that we are working on right then.
Right.
That should we have more frames? Should we cut a little bit more? Should I extend a little bit more? What is the kind of effect that we should use here? Therefore, what is the sound design that is going to happen? So I think editing is also doing rather than assessing.
Right.
It is not a process of judging at all.
Right. While speaking of editing, I have to mention Aarti Bajaj. She's been with you since Jab We Met, and your films, you've developed, because the thing is, it's very hard to say whether a rhythm is happening because of the screenplay being written a certain way or the edit happening a certain way, because at least the sequencing. But you two have developed this very, very beautiful, sophisticated language of telling a story. Where you go back and forth, and even, I'm not talking about the bigger back and forths like time back and forth, but even within scenes sometimes, Can you tell me a bit about how you two work together? Because you write a screenplay. Is it something that you bring her in right then and there?
So I write the screenplay, and when it is at a certain stage, because the screenplay is also written several times, several drafts, when it is at a certain stage, I send it to Aarti. My reason to send it to Aarti is this good enough for you to do this film? It is trying to, like, each time I have to woo her. If it is good, she'll do it. And so she says, yeah, okay, when do you want to start and whatever. So then we start working. Yes, so she knows when when the screenplay is done, she knows when we are shooting. She starts to get involved by and by as shooting is going to end. And she has the overall idea of the vision of the film. We know each other for a long time. I think she's a very instinctively sensitive person. So for her, she gets it. It's not only intellectually, but also, I think, emotionally.
Right.
She gets the story, she gets the performance, she gets the music. And there are certain things that I really lean on her for. One of them is she's a great judge of performance. And she, in all of the takes that we have of all of the shots, the ability to stitch together the best performance of an actor is the marvel of an editor's job. Right. She's the master of that, right? So she makes sure, like, I assist her in the process, or I am with her in the process. I also encourage her, but she makes sure that the best parts of the performances and the most consistent performance of a scene of an actor, of every actor in every scene, happens in the films that she works with me. And the other thing which is very strong about Aarti is music, musicality, the sense of which shot to use, how much, for which strain of music. That understanding is very, very nice. How long to keep a shot, how quickly to cut it, what is therefore the kind of emotion that is emerging from music, which is not even complete, because oftentimes during editing the music is not complete, it will be layered. So she even has a sense of what might happen over here. So that is something that she's very, very strong about. And then there is a certain spiritual bent of mind that she also has.
Okay.
So so when she looks at something, she understands various dimensions of that thing. So when she's doing a simple montage, let's say there was a montage, the first time we ever did a montage like that was in Rockstar, in Phir Se Ud Chala. And there was a certain point, so we discussed it, and I had never done anything of that sort before, either in my career. She had also not. So we said, like, this is the music, and what are we trying to show? I said, it's not on cut. It is disruptive. But at the same time, in this disruptiveness, we see the flight of the soul of Jordan. Like, it's a soaring. Then we edited that together. I give her time. Then she does something. Then I come in. Then I take a little time with her. So on and so forth. But it's a beautiful journey. And she's such an important part of the way that I tell stories. And like, I'm very thankful for her.
Yeah, and I just cannot talk enough about, I mean, I can, the whole interview can be about her, but let's not, but the point is, the way your films flow, it's just incredible. I've never seen love stories flow this way before, you know. It's like, because there's the past, there's the present. Even within the present, there are these micro moments that you probably decide on the shoot, but then which are then finessed on the edit. It's just incredible. One of my favorite moments is, this may not necessarily be an edit moment, but just like one of my favorite songs of yours is Heer To Badi Sad Hai. I love that song simply because though the words say Heer To Badi Sad Hai, it's a very joyous kind of picturization. There's a faint bit of melancholy in the tune, but the picturization when the people are dancing, the singer and that's very the thing. And there's a line where you think, like, her face is like she's as wound up like a pressure cooker. And at that point, you see the Heer from Ved's imagination, when he's heard the stories, actually passed by with a pressure cooker in her hand. It's like a microsecond, and you must. Did you have that in the screenplay that you're going to do that?
No.
It was because with the yellow salwar kameez, that was just a spur of the moment
Yeah.
thing that you said, let's have that.
Yes. It was a spur of the moment thing. We were shooting in Haryana. It was very hot. It was close to 50 degrees. We were shooting from sunrise to sunset. It was a crazy day for heat. And my demands were incessant. And we were all excited in this Heer To Badi Sad Hai. And we had musicians from Punjab who were actually playing. And there was a stage which also broke because one of the dhol person got so excited, he was dancing so much, the stage broke. जैसे चक दे फट्टे बोलते हैं ना, वो हो गया वहाँ. And so this pressure cooker line happened. And in this pressure cooker, I said that, do we have a pressure cooker? It was one of those crazy things, where choreography and dance and music is quite a trip, on shoots. He says, is there a pressure cooker? So this is not even a requirement I'd given earlier. We were shooting in a village. But luckily, I think there was a pressure cooker in somebody's house somewhere. So some local person said, मैं लाता हूँ. And then they went and got a big pressure cooker. It's like, okay, so who will walk with this? Can someone how will the pressure cooker come in this shot? Because the shot is this, the shot is already set.
Yeah.
So पीछे में वहाँ पर है, वो out focus में, in that depth, at this range, if somebody passes, we'll barely see. अरे सर किसको पता चलेगा, कोई समझेगा नहीं. कोई बात नहीं, हम लोग को तो पता है ना, we'll enjoy. So thankfully there are people like you that notice it. These micro things. It's not in the screenplay. The girl, then we got this girl, she looked like the Heer.
So she's not the Heer in the other parts of the movie. Okay.
No, she's not Heer as in who played in the rest of the movie. So this girl, we found, like, I saw a girl in yellow shalwar, or maybe we put their costume on her. Said, आप इसे pass कर जाओ, और you are backing us so that the pressure cooker is seen and your frame is seen. So don't hide the pressure cooker. Let it be. So she walked in a line so that the pressure cooker is seen. So that's how she went.
No, and that's so beautiful for me because somehow that brings in Ved into this into this song, which is about the girl's Tara's sadness, and somehow his imagination becomes a part of that song, and that little touch is so beautiful. Another thing that I just want to talk to you about, the way you construct these moments in a screenplay, or maybe the spur of the moment, like you said, at the end of Love Article 2, see, that's a traditional thing, right? Where you finish a movie and you have this big boisterous song dance number to kind of, while the rolling credits are happening, and Moja Hi Moja, there's a big list of songs like that, and not just in your films, but that's a tradition. But at the end of Love Article 2020, you have Romeo staring at an empty balcony waiting for Juliet to come, and she's not coming. The whole movie is kind of ended, and you're kind of putting this very sad moment out there right at the end. What's that about?
Yeah, because I feel that in Love Article 2, there were two tracks, two sets of lovers. One could not meet.
Yeah.
And that is the feeling that sustained, at least in me, at the end of the film. Right. And I wanted to kind of pay homage to that feeling, the feeling of loss, and the feeling of loss of innocence in that case also. So, will that come back or not? That's the feeling that I wanted to leave with.
Did you think that ab tak to some audience would have got up and
Yeah,
gone?
that is every film that I have made. There is always that situation. Like the first film I made, there was in Socha Na Tha, there was a song which was everybody's favorite, Yara Rab Rus Jaane De. But we didn't have a situation. We shot it for a certain situation, but it wasn't working that was not the kind of film. So then what to do? So we'll put it in the end that they are going out somewhere, and after they escape, they can have this song, and we can just the the first time I heard this. Sir, तब तक तो audience उठ के जा चुकी होगी. I have been audience and I continue to be audience in films. Maybe there is 5 people, 10 people that remain in the cinema theater at the end because they are enjoying the music. अभी पैसा दिया तो end तक ही देखते हैं ना यार. That's my attitude, right? So I watch till the end. I enjoy all of the things that they do, that little title that comes. And now they have started, like foreign Hollywood films have started to put these throwback scenes, later in the titles. So I love that. So that's an earning for film lovers. So my reaction was कोई बात नहीं यार, जो वैसे film lover type के लोग होंगे ना, जिनको film अच्छी लगी होगी, वो रुकेंगे. वो हम ना जब चल कर के धीरे धीरे जाते हैं ना exit तक, till then also we are watching the screen. So for that viewer, I'm putting this song, यार अब रुस जाने दे. Then in Mauja Hi Mauja, the same thing happened. That Mauja Hi Mauja, again people will get up and leave. I said, people will get up and leave, but the people that want to watch will stay. And then if the song is good, there is more reason for them to stay. Mauja Mauja became a big hit. After that, I also got the certificate to say, no problem, let's do it, Ahu Ahu in Love Aajkal, and so on and so forth.
You know, you are known as this, I don't know if you like this title, but this maker of love stories. But I get the feeling that the biggest love story that's happening for the last 20 years is between Imtiaz Ali and cinema. Would I be right in saying that?
Well, yeah. I'm trying to get closer to cinema. And let's see whether cinema is agreeing or not with me. Whether I'm able to woo her.
What is Main Vaapas Aaunga about? Yes, partition is there. Nasiruddin Shah, Sharvari, Vedang, Diljit Dosanjh, all that we know, ARR Rahman, Sylvester Fonseca, who's been doing some brilliant work of late, the DOP, but where are they all coming together?
Main Vaapas Aaunga is about what we have left behind. Mm-hmm. It's Main Vaapas Aaunga is about kya chhoot gaya. In the lives of all people, there is something that they have left behind in the inevitable road to progress or growth, and that you have left behind is your fondest memory, the fondest imagination, and the sustaining love in your heart. During partition, of course, a lot of people have left a lot of things behind when they crossed and came to the other side of the border, right? And today, when 78 years have happened, when I personally visited and met in different parts of Punjab, these people that have seen partition with their own eyes, that have suffered partition in their own lives, you know what I found? What I found is that most of them don't even remember half the things that happened. Most of them don't remember where they are. Many of them are suffering from Alzheimer's. Many of them are suffering from dementia. They're all in their 90s mostly, also in their late 80s. But what they do remember is the love in their hearts, is their childish emotion. It is their fledgling love stories. This is the treasure that they have carried when they crossed the border and have survived for like 78 years. There are people that have forgotten their children. You go in Punjab, I've met these people. So, Main Vaapas Aaunga is just a cut and paste of the stories of the entire generation of people that I have met personally. It's a cut and paste of their stories. And most amazing revelation for me was, what they remember is the lovely objects that they left behind. What they remember and what they think is real is that girl on the balcony, is that bicycle, is that gudiya that they left in some place and they had to come away in a hurry. Sometimes they've forgotten partition per se. Sometimes they've forgotten that there was violence. But they have never forgotten the love of their hearts when they crossed the border. And I felt that this story has not been said. And is there only horror in this world now? Is there only like lashing out and hatred? Is that all there is? Because the old people of partition, the people that have actually gone through partition, you hear their narratives. I challenge you, it will be full of love. There is no representation of it. Why? And I didn't set out to make a film initially. I was just meeting people and I was hearing their stories because I was so fascinated.
Was this while you were doing some
I was doing Chamkila. Before that, I was
right.
doing another film, and all over the country.
Yeah.
This country is full of people that have migrated. Look at you. Where was your grandfather from, and where was my grandfather from? We're different places, yet we are sitting together in the same room in Bombay. India is a story of migration, right? All of us can associate with this. I'm saying that what our grandfathers have gone through. We have told our own stories, yeah? What about their stories? And they're all dying. How long will they be here? Yeah. They're already like 78 years after partition. I wanted to make this film because I met them and I felt so moved by their stories. And so instead of imposing my own narrative on them, I tried to listen to what their stories are.
Right.
And I'm saying that this whole generation of people that have seen partition, that we are losing now, I wanted to make this film in their lifetimes. To just acknowledge that we hear you, brother. We feel you. It's a difficult thing to talk about for them. You know? So I feel that more so because there is so much horror that we constantly see, hear about everywhere, you know. To remind ourselves that, boss, our country is built on the feeling of love, in the feeling of like togetherness, the feeling of loss also.
And also, I think what's new from what you're saying, or the freshness, is usually when partition stories are told, you hear about refugee camps, you hear about bloodshed, trains, massacres, this, that, but the gentle of emotions that people carry with them, that's rarely, at least I can't recall, maybe some passages in, something like Train to Pakistan or something like that, I don't know, but you don't really. So when Nasiruddin Shah in the trailer, the character, when Diljit says, how can somebody remember a girl he hasn't seen for 78 years? Was that the germ of your story?
Yeah.
That's something that became the germ of the movie?
Yes.
Yeah.
That is the germ of the movie.
Right.
That now the movie is contemporary. Right. The movie is taking place in present time.
Yeah.
In the present time, Nirvair Grewal, that is Diljit's character, is hit by the thought that for 78 years his grandfather has kept the love for a girl in his heart, wherein he himself is unable to hold on to a relationship or a job even, or any commitment for even few months. Right. And he wants what the grandfather has. And he wonders, and this is a dialogue in the film, that was this kind of love only possible in the olden days? We in the present times, are we never going to experience this love? And then what he realizes about what it is to be in this situation and his desire to be like this. And then ultimately feeling that this man couldn't go back.
Yeah.
But what am I doing in my life? So it's the effect of the story is actually played on by Diljit's character Nirvair. It's a contemporary story.
So in a way,
and one thing more I'd say, Baradwaj, that this is a third-hand story. I have not seen partition.
Yeah.
Right? So in a way, it's a second-hand story. I have heard it from all of these people that have seen partition. So therefore, second-hand. But this is also the third generation. There was a partition story after partition had just happened. Then there was a second generation story, which is the angriest, which is more hatred, because that's how the second generation turned out to be. because they had not even lived with the other community to have instances of love.
Yeah.
They had only stories of hatred. Then there was a third generation, which actually, like Diljit's character, who's the grandson, is trying to decode what is going on in this dementia-ridden mind, the Alzheimer's-ridden mind of his grandfather. When he's saying Mars se log aage, Martians have appeared and they are setting the fields on fire. What does he mean? Yeah. Who are the Martians? Yeah. Then he does internet search and he pieces the story together.
Right.
That's what is going on in my Vaapas Aaunga.
This makes me think that this could also be called love aajkal, as in like you're comparing what the idea of love is into. And one thing I find is a constant in many of your films is this idea of going back in time to and comparing the love that was then versus the love that is now. What fascinates you about this?
Actually, the fact that Diljit's character is trying to assess the love of the present time with the past is like a fleeting thought in the film.
Okay.
Mostly the film is about home and belonging.
Okay.
This particular film. It's more about home and belonging and the desire to go back to what you have lost.
Right.
And how what you have lost has remained with you in some way forever in your heart.
Yeah.
More about that.
But what about that? It's in like your fascination for contrasting.
Well, I think it's also an exploration of how people feel and how people behave in relationships in different times. And constantly every generation prides itself to say that we were different, we were better, and we were more real, you guys are fake. Every generation says that. I'm supposed to say that to my daughter. But what I find more and more, where I'm also coming from, is the fact that I feel that this generation, the youngest generation today, is this generation that is most seeking affection. It is the most lost. It is the most craving for something to hold on to attach themselves to. It is very difficult for them to be fulfilled and to have even a meaningful conversation, forget about a meaningful relationship. It is very, very difficult. They are lost because they find their destination at the first step. In my time, when I was a young man, or when I was younger, sorry, we are the same age. But when I was a kid, so to speak, at least there was a long path ahead of us. There was no chance of getting to the destination actually, but the path was there.
Yeah.
In our, जैसे बोलते हैं Faz's line, that at least there was a path illuminated in our eyes. And however, these guys, they don't have a path. There's no journey. Yeah. So they get lost after getting to the destination. So I feel that's why they are more emotional. So I want to somehow challenge this perception that the younger generations are not emotional.
Right. But you've been doing that right from Socha Na Tha, which was 2005, at 21 years ago. Because Viren, the Abhay Deol character, is actually for me the prototype Imtiaz Ali hero, because he has quite a bit, but he still wants more. He's a little, वो कहते हैं ना, भटकता हुआ आत्मा. He's not sure what he wants, but he's in search of something. He's not able to decide on anything. What people say is happening today, you showed in 2005.
I rest my case.
Yeah.
I feel that every generation has gone through this.
Yeah.
We kid ourselves to feel that this is the first time it's happening in humanity. Brother, it's been happening ever since.
Yeah. But tell me how you envision that character, because for me it's fascinating that you go to Vijayta Films, Sunny Deol is calling you to launch his younger brother Bobby Deol, and typically star launches are not this, right? It's not like, it's usually, of course, Sunny's time was a little different, Betab and all that, but even here, you know, to have a character who's lost, who's, he has a girlfriend, but there's this other girl, he's not able to commit to this one, he's not able to, it's not really a heroic character. How did you sell this actually?
So the greatness of the decision belongs to Sunny Deol,
Okay.
not to me. Because I merely wrote a story. I wrote this story and I was trying to make this film much before I knew Abhay.
Exactly like this.
Yeah, exactly like this.
Okay.
Exactly like this. And then I met Abhay and then we decided that, or Sunny decided that he wants to hear this film and see whether it is fit to produce. So I went, met him. I narrated the story as is to him. And a lot of my friends had told me that look at the films he does. So many people he hits in the film as the hero. And here the hero is not hitting anybody. He's the one that is getting slapped. So how is he going to like it? I said, I don't know. He said, come, tell me the story. This is the story that I want to make. I'll go tell him. But it is his greatness. He said, this is the kind of film I want to make. I don't believe in films which have then just over heroic characters. I do those kinds of films is a different thing. But this is the kind of story that I think I want to produce. It's entirely his decision to have produced this film. Of course, I wanted to direct it, but it is his decision.
Yeah. When I think of Imtiaz Ali images from the films that you've written or from the films that you've directed, some of the things that pop to mind are Majnu wants to see Laila and when she comes he faints. Or Saif finally understands that he loves Deepika because he's mugged in a street in Australia, was it?
San Francisco.
San Francisco, sorry. See, I don't know your movies that well as I thought I did. So San Francisco, and he can't part with that wallet because it has that picture, and that's when that feeling really hits him. These moments are what really make your film, that push them into a deeper zone of, they're already very, they explore romance in a way that romance has never been explored before, because it's not the generic, not that I didn't like QSQT or something like that, I enjoyed it a lot, but the thing there was a little, I love you, you love me. I don't know too much about Amir Khan in that movie, I don't know too much about Juhi in that movie, other than boy, girl, they have that moment and decide to love each other. But you take a scalpel and start dissecting their career, their decisions, their ambitions, their this, their that, their psychological, where they want to be. Sometimes somebody can even ask in Tamasha, why don't you just let this guy be? Why do you want to go and cure him or go after him, or he doesn't want you, he wants to his corporate life, chodo usko. Somebody can actually ask Deepika that. Yeah. But you attack love with a ferocity, like I want to understand this emotion. Where does that junoon, that passion come from?
Wherever it is coming from, that is where cinema for me is also coming from.
Okay.
I feel that I see things in my life and I imagine things based on what I see, and it raises interest, it raises questions, it raises it keeps me sleepless at nights about people, about how they are feeling and how the story then develops in my mind. And that, I guess, restlessness or that desire to explore more about people, but basically through a certain character, because for me things are half real and half fiction. So then through that I'm trying to, that restlessness that I have, or the desire that I have to imagine and to wonder what happened to that girl, what is she feeling at this, why is she doing this, what would she want to do, how would she react to this guy, what is the point of her vulnerability. So I just like the journey of this girl becomes so imminent to me,
right,
that I start to talk about it to people.
Right.
And जैसे गुलजार साहब had a beautiful line, दोस्तों से झूठी मूठी दूसरों का नाम लेके तेरी मेरी बातें करना. I start doing that. I try to say, for some reason, I start telling the story to people, and then I start writing it, and therefore the film is made. So there's a certain energy there, and that energy is basically for me, for my entertainment. I'm a daydreamer, so I can be in a room and not look at my phone, just stare at the wall. For a long time. I've been doing that ever since I was a kid in the classroom. Teacher is talking, I'm thinking about some story in my mind, right? So now those stories have kept me going, and now those stories are coming into cinema. And they tend to be what they are. I can't help it. I don't know, I've not deliberately done it. The other thing is that during the time of, let's say, Qayamat se Qayamat tak, movies were all uniformly of a certain type. There was a certain perceptibility, there was a certain believability, and there was a certain larger than life stature for so-called popular cinema of India. Later on, I feel cinema has also been changing and becoming more and more relatable.
Right.
So let's say, case in point is, like with the turn of the millennium, when a movie, Jab We Met, is far more relatable. And the characters are not larger than life and not always. So let's say the costume, as an example, from Qayamat se Qayamat tak, you'd never see Juhi Chawla in that film wearing a shalwar with a t-shirt. Yet Kareena Kapoor in Jab We Met wears a shalwar with a t-shirt for half the film, practically. And so things like that were changing. Thankfully and luckily for me, and for the entire generation of directors that came. Things that change, you become a beneficiary of the change, but you also promote that change. Because that's how we were. All of these Tigmanshu, Buddha Anurags, and Zoya, and all of us could make movies that had kind of real sounding people, real looking people, because we knew no better. We couldn't make cinema of the other type. So therefore, the whole point is, how is this girl vulnerable, wearing a shalwar and a t-shirt in front of some men? What happens? I know very well what happens in a railway station like Ratlam or Kota or one of those in the middle of the night. It is very understandable that the girl has missed her train. Is she going to be vulnerable? How are they going to be talking? How is she going to, deal with this situation, so on and so forth? Because we were also coming from real life. We were not coming off cinema, we were coming off real life. And that, I think the cinema changed and the language of cinema changed, and the understanding, we got a chance to go deeper, because that deeper was required for the story.
Right.
It
was
not only
almost autobiographical, you would say, somewhat.
Autobiographical, no.
The sensibility.
Sensibility is autobiographical. It is from, it's like things that I've seen in my life. They need not necessarily be about me particularly. But the point of view is personal.
What I'm trying to say is, again, I love curiosity. But it's not, that is not probably how Mansoor Khan experienced life or love.
That is true.
Whereas Jab We Met is probably how Imtiaz Ali experienced life and love. Kind of.
Or when Mansoor Khan was making Qayamat se Qayamat tak, he knew that in cinema, this is what has to be done. Because
this projection.
Cinema, this is the kind of projection you can have. This is the kind of larger than lifeness, or in films you have to show costumes in a certain way. Those are the do's and don'ts of that time. Mansoor Khan was also challenging that. Because Qayamat se Qayamat tak at that time was far more relatable than the other love stories
100%,
of that time.
Right?
Similarly, by the time Jab We Met came, I was luckier because cinema had become more accepting of reality. So I could make it differently. And therefore, there was more detail. The blemish of real life was possible to be seen. The texture of a real feeling was possible to be seen in Tamasha, let's say. I can't imagine a scene like that in anybody's films. Even if I was making films in the 80s, I would have said, वो लड़की ऐसे रो रही है, वो देख रही है उसको, बंदा ऐसे देख रहा है, and this is what the shot is, and it's going to hold for the song. They'd say, get rid of this guy, or send him over to the art film camp.
But one thing that struck me early was when I saw the first Love Aajkal, and usually marriage is seen as the end point in a movie, like kind of a thing. So even if there is a third guy, love triangle, whatever, the end point is usually when the marriage happens.
Somebody gets married.
Somebody gets married. This is one of the first times I'm watching a man tell the girl he loves just on the eve of her wedding that, Jesus Christ, I love you. I'm sorry. I'm realizing this shit right now. I'm like, I don't know what to do. Am I saying the right thing? I don't know what I'm doing. She's listening, stony silence. Marriage happens. And then she processes it. And then she walks out of that. That's that blemished word that you said. Life is messy. You don't always make the right decisions to
At the right time.
at the right time. And that's again something that we find in your films. And that's beautiful because, and I think that's why certain people, I don't know, maybe people who like your films are romantics. I don't know what it is, but I think one of the reasons we love your films so much is because that imprecision of being able to control life the way we want, have that exact realizations, the milestones at the exact life points that you're supposed to have, that doesn't happen for some of us. And I think we, that's something again that is so beautiful because one of the reasons art exists is to show that yes, there are other people like us. There are other situations. We are not the only ones in this Viren-like confused state kind of a thing, So you can see Viren has really made an impact on me. That's kind of a thing. So, but yeah, that's something else. When you were writing that scene, did anyone tell you, shit, let her not get married. Let him tell Deepika that he loves her. Let her change her mind and let the marriage not happen. Did people tell you that?
Yeah. They were, lot of people were saying that she will come across so negatively if she gets married and then the next morning she wakes up and tells her husband that I want to not be with you anymore because I have now realized what both Jay and I feel for each other. And unfortunately, I have heard and seen these situations in my life. And rather than judging that person, one feels fascinated by what is it that she must be going through. Why would she do something like this? What happened? Yeah. And that is the kind of discovery that leads to the making of a film. Right. And these things have happened. I know about them. It has happened around me, like close enough.
No, they always happen in life. But somehow they never happen in the movies is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, but what is happening in life is what becomes the basis for the movies that I'm making at any rate. Because I have no... I can't draw from movies to make other movies.
Yeah.
And and I also get some encouragement from the fact that I read literature. Like I have read classics. Believe me, like you would know also that classics are about imperfect people in stories. Each one of them.
Yeah.
Including Laila Majnu, including Romeo and Juliet.
Wuthering Heights.
Wuthering Heights. So is an extreme example. Yeah. Imperfections. So the life, like the blemish of real life exists in literature and is the only thing that has survived in literature.
Yeah. I was going to ask you, how has your literature degree contributed to your films, and you just answered that question. You brought in a lot of that as well.
I got a lot of backing. I wasn't worried. So if I was... for instance, this particular scene, and everybody was telling me, and a part of me was also worried that yes, the Meera, that is Deepika's character, would be judged. What she's doing is wrong. Yeah. Well, she's still our... So are we loving her? Do we want to see her story because she's right? No. We want to see her story because we are interested.
Yeah.
Because there is something real in her. There's something interesting. We can judge her. We'll say that, oh, she's a horrible person. It's all right. Firstly, I have understood this. We don't love people who are good or bad. We love people that we love. There's no explanation to this, right? So is she going to be worth our love? Is Jay going to be worth our love? Maybe not, but our interest, yes, because I understand that feeling that when somebody is getting married, when that bloody boat is sailing away from you, that's when you realize how precious it is, right? This happens to all of us. So it is very easy for me to imagine that at somebody's wedding, she's so, I'm losing her, and now I realize how fond I was. I took it for granted.
Yeah, yeah. When you make a movie like Chamkila, you say that the movie is about the love it's not actually about a crime, but it's actually a movie about the love this man had for his music. Right. So, similarly, Main Vaapas Aaunga is a movie about the memories, the loving memories, as you just described, that people have of their homeland, which then was back there. But
and the symbol is the girl.
And symbol is the girl. But I'm taking these two, but other films as well. But let's just talk about these two films. But there's an undercurrent in Chamkila of freedom of expression, of what somebody is allowed to sing or say in public, how one person is behaving in public. Similarly, in Main Vaapas Aaunga, I'm assuming there's the undercurrent of the partition and certain violent events, maybe, I don't know yet. But so when there's a text and there is a subtext.
Yeah.
So the romance is, not romance as in the love, but romance could be the softer emotion. That is always the text for you?
In this case, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it is or shall I say it in this way, that the what's in focus is the feeling of love and loss.
You're talking about Main Vaapas Aaunga.
Main Vaapas Aaunga. In Main Vaapas Aaunga, what's in focus is the feeling of love and loss, and this girl and her face, and that desire to go back to her, desire to go back to that. But out focus, where she is standing, in the out focus region, you have the partition.
Yeah.
In the out focus region, you have the horrors of the partition, and that also is the conflict.
Yeah.
So if in Mughal-e-Azam there is Shahzada Salim and there is Anarkali, what's standing between them is Akbar.
Yeah.
In this film, in Main Vaapas Aaunga, if there is Keenu and there is Jia, two innocent lovers, what's standing between them is partition. So that also becomes the point of conflict in the film. So there is this saying I would like to say, which at the end of the film we also see. I had read in a National Geographic magazine, and this was just an account of a nomad who was who was in migration, just a refugee. So this refugee said that if I had a choice between leaving my home and dying, I would have gladly chosen death. Unfortunately, I did not have this choice. And that is why I left my home.
Yeah. Even Highway, in a way, is a very complicated, like the way we just discussed text and subtext. It's about love, but it may not be romantic love, but it's about a man finding a kind of maternal love that he did not have in a much younger girl, and similarly her finding the embrace of
family security
in a man
who's a bloody highwayman, who's
a
bandit.
So these are very, this is the texture, I think, that like what you said, because I don't think it's possible to make a movie about the partition. I mean, unless you're making it like the way Govind Nalani did with Thomas. Which
is various stories.
So I don't think, so the thing is, you focus on this one thing and you tell the larger thing through this one. That's what you're trying to do with this Main Vaapas Aaunga.
Through this one story of love, everything else can be seen. But you do need a point of focus.
The last time we met, you told me that you had the story of a man who finds himself by his job of being a spy. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Is that also some kind of love story?
That's also a story of belonging.
Okay.
I think that story, the spy story that I've been thinking of for more than a decade now, is about a feeling of belonging, I think, of home in some way.
Uh, there is one thing that used to disturb me, but I think no longer. It also could be my age. अब मैं अपना career give up कर सकती हूँ is a line from Love आजकल. Initially, I used to wince a bit because of the mix of English and Hindi.
Yeah.
But where do you get this, Imtiaz? Is this how you hear youngsters talking today, or like is that a guesstimate on your part? Ke like let's mix two languages.
This is how all of us talk. We in India have been raised, many of us, on English education. Our
Right.
primary language has been English, and we speak that. But the informal or the common language in India is Hindi, in much of India.
Yeah.
And so we mix these two. And we talk, this is how we talk. So if cinema has to be, if the characters in cinema have to be realistic, the language also has to be realistic. We don't talk like how I used to write essays in school anymore,
Yeah.
thank God.
Yeah.
We talk in this way that you switch into Hindi, you switch into English. Indians particularly talk in this manner. Like when I go to Chennai, they are mixing English and Tamil.
Yeah.
They are sometimes mixing Hindi and Tamil.
Yeah.
And when I am here, I'm mixing English and Hindi. This is how we are talking. So I feel compelled to write dialogue like that. Unfortunately, I got a award for it finally in Jab We Met. Very surprising for my Hindi teacher in school. But this is how we talk, which is English or whatever. Like there's no judgment on it because this is just the way language goes.
Was Nasiruddin Shah always your first choice for this role?
Nasiruddin Shah was like completely the only actor that could have portrayed this character. Because it's a very finely nuanced, very finely calibrated performance that I was looking for. And because it's easy to say dementia, it is easy to say Alzheimer's syndrome.
Yeah.
But people that I have met who are going through this condition are different at different times.
Yeah.
There's a certain calibration. You forget more, you remember less, you are a bit more crazed out sometimes, you say more weird things at some point of time. So all of that on a scene-to-scene basis had to be performed differently.
Yeah.
The level settings were different. And then, of course, the overall health, the pain in the body, the level of the pain, all of that had to be played. It is very difficult to act forgetfulness because you actually forget.
Right.
So the actor had to be so confident to actually forget and not be embarrassed about it because that's his job. This is what was happening when Nasir was acting.
Given the stature with which we hold him and the godlike status with which we see him, was it easy or was it difficult to be a director with such an actor, saying, I want this, I want that?
I thought it would be more difficult than it turned out to be. It was not difficult with Nasir at all because he's not carrying any burden of being a veteran actor at all.
Yeah.
He never tells you, I've done this, I've done that. He doesn't even remember. He's interested today in the scene that he's to do now, and he's completely consumed by it. He's a person, like all actors, living in the now.
Yeah.
And it is very tough to be an actor in life because so many things from the character keep making their entry into your personal life. You have to shed all of that. One thing that you have to shed also is the scent of other characters on yourself. So he's successfully done that, and that is why he's such a prolific actor. So for a prolific actor, a qualification is that you must be interested now, and anybody who's interested now is damn easy to work with. So I thought it would be difficult, but he was so disarming. He was just interested in what's happening here and how to do this, I also got on to it like that. I found myself taking 100 liberties with him. Liberties that I wouldn't take with other senior actors, maybe. In the running take, I would give him instruction because it is Nasiruddin Shah, he could catch it. You know, in the running take, if I remembered something, I would say something. He would process it. He is that kind of a professional. This is like almost a blasphemy for a director. But with Nasir, I took liberties.
Wonderful. You know, speaking of realism, I remember this anecdote that Shabana may had shared long back. She was doing one of those larger than life films, and she had to play mad, and the director told her, this is your character. And then she said, okay, what is this madness, as in is it schizophrenia, is it this, is it that, is it what? And the director said, nahin, bas tum pagal ho, like this kind of thing. So that was, so this reminded me of that, because you said there are different shades of this illness or this
condition.
This condition at different times. So that just suddenly reminded me of how realistic things are today. So have you ever thought of making a historical Imtiaz? Or are you like, let's leave that to Sanjay Leela Bhansali and you can...
No, I have thought of making historicals, yes. But for me, the story, even in a historical period, is of common people. And not of, like, there are so many times I've gone to forts and palaces. And my imagination is, how would it be to be a courtier here, rather than how would it be to be a Raja here.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, I've always had that. I remember at Nahargarh in Jaipur, I was there and everybody was like, if I was the queen, I would be walking like this. If I was in those times, I would be coming on an elephant up Mehrangarh Fort in Jodhpur, right? That is what my people around me were saying. And I was feeling so guilty I'm thinking that I would be the mahout that is walking with the elephant. I would be that common person over here who works over here and then takes a break and comes and sits on the ground and eats and then sees that girl walking from there. Somehow my stories are about people like that and not about kings and queens. So if I was in the Jodha Akbar period, my story wouldn't be about Jodha and Akbar, it would be about some common person.
Yeah.
But Jodha and Akbar would be in the out focus.
Yeah. But is it possible to mount a film like that today?
Why not?
Okay.
It is.
It is.
Yeah. One has to have a great story which has relevance today, which like people like you, me and the audience would love to watch, and then you can make the film.
I was once talking to a filmmaker whose film did not do well. It got released again and it found a kind of appreciation and became a bit of a cult classic. Kind of like what happened with Tamasha. But your attitude differs because that filmmaker says it didn't matter because that's like putting flowers on a corpse. What's the use now? But you somehow seem to enjoy the fact that more people are discovering or relating to Tamasha, like with its re-release and all that kind of stuff.
With Tamasha, with Laila Majnu, with Rockstar,
yeah,
all of these films.
So how do you look at the fact that
I think it's
this delayed appreciation, so to speak?
Couple of things I'd like to say on this. This is a very important thing for me personally. The appreciation that came to, let's say, Rockstar in its re-release, it's very encouraging because I have seen young people who were too small to see and recognize Rockstar when it was released. I've seen them in the theatres now really attaching with the film. Somehow the stories that I have been telling, or the tone of telling my stories is being appreciated by younger generations. That's a very encouraging sign for me. I feel that I'm finding my pals now as a filmmaker. So that's a nice thing, you know. I love that. And they don't question, they are getting everything. Right. You know, they are so emotional. That's what I'm saying. The younger audience is the more emotional audience. So that's an encouraging sign. The second sign is that it also tells me that what stories I'm making is there something as a maker I can do to make those stories be appreciated immediately in the theater rather than people rediscovering it after a while?
Right.
There is something that surely I can do as a filmmaker.
So it makes you retrospect, like kind of a think back.
For
about,
sure.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, they made me retrospect, and they made me understand that, okay, maybe I can make the films better, differently, so that people can appreciate and get the full value of the film on the first screening.
Yeah.
So, this film, Main Vaapas Aaunga, is an attempt to make such a film that can give its full value in the first viewing.
Nice, nice. When Yash Chopra was asked what was his favorite film among all the films that he's made, he said, it's hard to choose amongst my various children, but if I had to choose, I'd choose Lamhe, because you always feel sad for the child that didn't make it. For you, the child that didn't quite make it is When Harry Met Sejal, even though I'm sure it has its fans. What is your favorite scene from that movie?
From Harry Met Sejal, my favorite sequence from that film definitely is from the song Yadon Mein, where Harry's character now realizes that he is going to lose Sejal because he's already found the ring. And it is almost as though he's looking at Sejal and thinking of her as memory. He can see the girl becoming his memory. So there's actually a sequence that I like most from Harry Met Sejal is when he is standing over there on the beach in Portugal and screaming out to say that this is how I used to call my girl, the girl that I used to love.
Right.
And he's telling Sejal that, see, this is how I used to scream out her name, and very soon I'll be screaming out your name because you will be in India and I'll be missing you. That sequence I
That's
like
your
the most. Yeah.
You also said that if a filmmaker doesn't reach the intended audience, it is the filmmaker's fault. I saw you say this once. Do you still maintain that?
Yeah, of course.
Then how do you think? So you're saying that they should anticipate the audience in some way?
Not anticipate, but they should make the film such that the audience that they've made it for appreciates it. It's easy
That's
for them.
anticipation. That's like saying that, okay, today's audience wants this, I'm going to give them that, kind of a thing?
No, not that. It is actually today. So this is my longer answer for this. Today's audience does not want one particular type of cinema.
Right.
Today's audience can watch 20,000 different kinds of films and still like them if they are good. Today's audience, like any other audience, wants good films, entertaining films, right? I, as a filmmaker, am trying to do that. Right. However, I can't make all the films that today's audience likes. I can make the only one film that is in my heart. However, when I'm making it, I cannot have the arrogance to say that the audience must scrutinize and reach the film. The audience has to sit in the cinema theater as though they are some detectives and get every clue that I'm leaving in the film to understand it.
Yeah.
It is not an examination hall that they are coming to. They are coming to a cinema hall.
Yeah.
So it has to be served in a way that is welcoming them.
Yeah.
It has to be given in a way that they can easily access it. And I, as a filmmaker, am constantly trying to be better and better, because by being better, my cinema will be simpler to understand. My cinema will be simpler to appreciate and enjoy.
Right.
So the example that I have is from poetry. Like people say that, my characters are layered. There is a lot of layer in my storytelling, so on and so forth, right? Now, I can't help it. This is how it is. However, what I can do is improve my way of telling the story, like Sant Kabir could do.
Like a doha.
Like a doha. It is so complicated what he's trying to say in every doha. is so complicated. Baba Farid, Kaga Saptan Khaiyo. You get the bloody point. Yeah? You get the point in one sentence. Everybody in this country got the point.
Yeah.
There are so many things out of Mahabharata and Ramayana, so complicated. What Krishna says to Arjun, everything in the Gita, people of this country have understood.
Yeah.
So we can't say audiences ko samajh mein nahi aa raha hai. We have to say that we are still learning the way of expressing it in the better way.
Yeah.
Which I think I am also learning with every film, to express it in a way that it is instantly joyous for the audience in a theatre.
I actually like both flavors because Gulzar is one of my
Favorite film
go-to,
directors.
both the lyricists, right? Some of his songs are very complex and they use Persian words, they use I did not know what Ab-o-Dana was till
Ab-o-Dana.
I did not know what that was till I heard the Gharonda song. But there's a film called Sitara and there's this beautiful song where he just says, Thodi si zameen, thoda asma, tinko ka bas ek ashiyan. All I want with you is a little bit of sky, a little bit of land, and a little nest, a hut kind of a thing. It's a very big thing. It's like what's being said, but the words are so.
That is his mastery.
Yeah,
That
it's
is
just
his
like
mastery.
it's just so beautiful that.
But that is what it is. See, he has acquired that stature. He can write like that.
Yeah.
So I'm also trying to make movies like that, which can be beautiful, but so easy to understand.
Yeah. About your writing, Imtiaz, once you kind of formulate that this is vaguely where I'm going, that is, I'm going to write a movie about a man who still remembers his girl after 78 years and the partition is out of focus, all that has kind of festered in your mind and kind of become thing. Do you start writing from the start and finish at the end, or do you how do you do it?
I start writing from the beginning and try to go on till the end. I go on till the end. But then I visit the central area of the story if I have to, or like the neck, the lumbar region, the intestine. At different points I'm writing different parts of the story and developing it.
Right. So it's not like you start with the first scene and then write at a...
No, what I do is I write a story like a novella first.
Okay.
Usually I end up doing that because when I'm writing, I don't want the structure to stop me. So I just write it like a novel with just sentences. And
Would
then
you be like, what, about 20 pages, something like that?
20, 30,
Okay.
20 to 30 pages, maybe 40. That's my first novella. And all films have been like this. And then I try to break that into screenplay. But firstly, I write that novella and then I write more and more into it. And I write more and more into it. So, because changing the structure is not a problem then.
Right.
And I don't write on Screenwriter or one of these formats. I just write it in Word so that it's very easy for me to make the changes that I want to make.
Right.
There is no structuring difference that is happening. And the document is also easier to hold in my mind or visually, that I just go 3 pages down or 20 pages up and then I'm at a different point of the story.
Right.
And then I make whatever additions, changes I want at any point of time. Once I know that the structure is pretty much there, then I break that into scenes.
Right.
And that is what acquires the shape of a screenplay. So on and so forth.
But do you find there's a pattern? Like, for example, is the way you start your novella, is that almost always the way you start is that the first scene of your film as well?
In many cases, yes, but not all the time.
Okay. What about Main Vaapas Aaunga? How was that?
Well, Main Vaapas Aaunga, when I started writing, yes, it was about an old man getting up in the morning and asking for his car and driving. So yes, it was scene number 3 of Main Vaapas Aaunga is where I had started writing from. But I thought of 2 prior scenes as a pre-roll scenes later on to make the film, which is scene number 1 and scene number 2. They got added after the novella.
Okay, okay. Now, Imtiaz, we always, or rather, many people talk of your writing, you as a writer. There's also a filmmaker, and I was very fascinated when you said in an interview that I look at myself as somebody who makes movies for the big screen. I think of the big screen when I'm visualizing my screenplay. How is Imtiaz the director? Like when you go in, because you're not a very flashy director, you're not, I want a 30-minute single shot. I mean, I'm exaggerating, but you know what I mean, right? You're not going too much there. But I do find you doing things like, for example, in Agar Tum Saath Ho, you have Deepika's face in a corner. There's a lot of negative space. That's Ravi Varman's extraordinary cinematography in that movie. Are these also decisions that you kind of use to convey your what you're trying to say? This is like an extra bit of paint that you put on the canvas?
Oh, 100%. The visual frame or the way a story is seen is a continuation of how that story is written and how the story is imagined. See, writing is a necessary process, but it is basically in translating the image in the mind to the image in cinema on the screen. I have to write because how will I otherwise communicate to the unit?
Yeah.
There is no other purpose for writing. Otherwise, I have an image and I want to record it because I don't want to forget it. And then I want you to know and then contribute your own ideas.
Yes.
But ultimately, it's an image to image conversion. So I am trying to bring to the film, to the screen, the images that I see in my mind.
Okay.
For sure. And then I try to communicate to the cinematographer that this is how I'm seeing it. And then the choice of lens, the choice of lighting, the depth of field, and the 500 other things that the cinematographer thinks of is something that he usually gets inspired from the visuals that I'm talking about.
Right.
And then he has a sense of saying, okay, so I think what you're saying is, okay, so you need a lot of depth of field for this shot.
Right.
He says, yeah, because the background is so whatever, so on and so forth. So yes, it is like I'm chasing a visual story.
Right. With Main Vaapas Aaunga, one thing I noticed from the trailer is that there's a lot of sunlight, there's a lot of brightness. It's very anti-partition like in...
Yes. You know what the image is for Main Vaapas Aaunga? The inspiring image is the image of memory.
Right.
So we sat down, Sylvester was here and Suman, the art director, we were sitting and saying that, I said, in my mind, my memories of my childhood, let's say, or the happy times are of a certain color. They are of a certain type. And then if I have to visually interpret it and tell you, then it seems like this kind of lens. And how do you see the memory, your memory? Then we realize that all of us are seeing our memories in a similar way. Detail is less, colors are of a certain type, light is of a certain type, there's a little bit of an outfocusedness, and there is a little bit of a softer edges. So things are not so distinct, but they are colorful, right? We chased that image. So all of the flashback or all of the pre-partition time that you see of undivided India with Kinu and Jia and the flowers, they are those colors and those images that, like Sylvester has translated to screen, the kind of images that one has of their memory. So that when people watch the film, we are not chasing partition, we are chasing the love that one has lost. With all its loveliness. And that is what one thinks of his memory. So we are trying to recreate memory.
And were there certain Punjab-related cliches that you tried to avoid, like sarson ke khet or whatever, like, I don't know, I'm just trying to, the mustard fields.
Yeah, the mustard, there are not too many mustard fields in Punjab anymore.
Okay.
And, but there was, for instance, one song where the earlier line was Chak de fatte. So then, since Irshad is a Punjabi and since I am also like domiciled almost in Punjab, we realized that Chak de fatte is like, we say it too often, and and Chak de fatte was perhaps not even there around the time of the 1940s. So Irshad wrote Pat de tu ra, which is like dhool uda de, that kind of thing. So we try to avoid the unnecessary cliches of Punjab, like. But once you go to a place and start spending time there, meeting people there, the cliche goes out of your mind.
Yeah.
Cliche usually comes when you're looking at anything from the outside.
What is the thing that keeps drawing you? Because whether it's Geet, whether it's Harry's hometown in Harry Meets Sejal, Saif in the older Saif, Lavajkal, this Punjab region kind of draws you somewhere.
It's like an automatic cycle of events that started.
And of course, Chamkila. Yeah.
The cycle of events started during Jab We Met, I feel.
Okay.
When I went to Nabha to shoot Batinda, and when the family turned out to be the Dhillons, with Geet Dhillon, and that's because Geet Dhillon is a person I knew, and then I used that name. The Dhillon was a Sikhni, was a Punjabi girl, and then Punjab, and then when I went to Punjab, I realized more things about Punjab, and then I got very fascinated by them. They appeared in my next story, and then I got to know a little bit more, and I understood a little deeper, and then more and more the fascination grew, and I also felt that I'm receiving some sort of something over here, in Punjab. There's a certain vibe that I'm getting here.
And it's a nice vibe.
It's a nice vibe, and I feel, I feel not as though I receive some grace here, I feel that, there's so much that I have to say. There's so much about Punjab that has been said and is still being said, and so that's the reason. There is no, I'm not from Punjab. Yeah, but now when you spend more and more time, you learn more and more stories, and you feel more compelled to tell more stories.
As a Tamilian, I wanted to ask you when you're going to have a story set in Chennai or something like that, or at least a character from there.
Yeah.
And especially because you work with Rahman so much, so.
No, I have a lot of. Most of my friends from Jamshedpur are South Indians, are either Tamilians or, and thank God for them, because that's how I got to discover South Indian cinema, Tamilian cinema to begin with. Mani Ratnam came into my life because of my South Indian friends. When these pirated videos were doing the rounds and there was no subtitle, they used to sit and tell me what the characters are saying in Talapati and in all of these various films, and Nayakan and all that. So, but the thing is that I make cinemas in this language, in Hindi,
So the Punjabi milieu fits in easily.
Fits in, because even if they're talking in Punjabi or Punjabi type Hindi, it fits in. For Tamil, it's a little difficult. It's a little bit of a distance. However, now things are changing and people are accepting subtitled films. Because I can't have a Tamilian village people talking in Hindi. That I don't understand that as yet. So, but there will be a way of integrating that, I feel. But you can definitely have characters that are from different parts of the country, because India is very dynamic that way, and one should make. In Delhi, there are so many people from Kerala, let's say, or even Tamil Nadu, and they talk in a certain Hindi. But the film has to be Hindi, because I make Hindi films.
With Rahman, there is this beautiful anecdote that you've shared many times, that Agar Tum Saath Ho was a song that you had a tune for first, and then the tune changed, and then Rahman said, I'd like to try another tune. And then I think you went through 4 or 5 iterations. What is he looking for, and why do you encourage this process? In the sense that you cannot do this while you're shooting, right? Because you finish your shoot and you can't go back the next day typically and say, can
I
we
want
try
to shoot again.
Yeah, you typically can't do that,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So when I say why do you encourage him, I mean in the best way, like as in I love the fact that he's restless, he wants to give the best thing, but as a person who has a certain visual in mind or a certain break in this part of the song in mind, do you find that it's a little like the going back and forth is a little, I don't know what word to use here. Does it become a bit
Disconcerting.
of an issue? Disconcerting, yeah.
Well, I have understood over a period of time because I've been working with Rahman.
I'm going to interrupt you just once. The reason I say is because typically what happens is somebody finishes the song, gives it to you, you do the shooting. Here you're going back and forth, back and forth. That's what I say. Yeah.
So the interesting thing is that the responsibility or the problems of fitting in all what I have shot goes on to Rahman sir.
Okay.
If he's saying, I see that you've shot this song, now I want to change the song. Obviously, it was disconcerting in the beginning as a thought. But then he's saying, you already have this, no? If there is something better, then we'll take that. Otherwise, we'll use this. So I said, yeah. And then he knows that if there is a break, if then there is a rhythm to it, he will keep all that while making the next song. That responsibility passes on to him. So then what problem do I have?
Yeah.
I just get another choice. So I have understood this over a period of time that it's best to not discourage him because he's seeking something. He knows there is something better that can come. He doesn't say it for every song. He feels there's some opportunity. He has seen something. So he obviously deserves to, give it another shot. And that happens so many times.
You have a favorite album of his from your films?
See, the only bearable album is the one that is being made. Because after the film is released, over a period of time, it becomes very difficult to hear those songs again because you've already heard them, shot them, edited them, worked with them so many times, mixed them, balanced them, that you now are no longer interested in them. Or you don't want to hear them anymore. They're not entertainment, it's work.
It's work, yeah.
But I have a favorite song I can say. That is Phir Se Ud Chala.
Phir Se Ud Chala? Yeah. For some reason, mine is Heer To Badi Sad. I don't know why, because there is also
it's a unique song.
That flow in which years and years of Heer pass by in that song. That's a song that's almost constantly in motion. The visuals, either she's walking or there's a boat or there's a car that's moving, she's walking out of the airport, breaking up, something. There's something always churning in that song, and it's just one of the best montage, passage tough time songs I've ever seen.
Oh, I'm so happy you say that. I shot this in my favorite city, which is Calcutta, and there are shots of the Flurry's cake shop in that song and of Hooghly and the Howrah Bridge and all of that. So yeah, that is a very precious song for me. We've shot that in the Dalhousie area of Calcutta with the old Victorian and buildings in the background. Yeah, and also there's a story of tea in this.
Yeah.
That her dad is supposed to be a tea estate owner and there is like tea tasting going on.
And she kind of does that in that long rows of tea and all that. Yeah. So you once said that you don't like to show smoking in your films because you think they'll encourage people to smoke because you might have been tempted yourself. But what if I tell you that because of Tamasha, there are many people who are going and leaving their jobs and saying, I want to try this uncertain profession. I'm genuinely curious, where does the responsibility of a filmmaker stop? Because yes, smoking is seriously harmful to health. It's easy to take a stand on that. This is a little grayer area because if somebody sees Three Idiots or and says, I want to become a wildlife photographer or something like that, it's a romantic notion, but the dad is looking out for the practical idea. How do you see that aspect of You know what I'm asking?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
That responsibility definitely rests in a way on the filmmaker. Yeah, partially yes, because I don't want to falsely incite anybody. I know how precious somebody's career is to them. My career is to me. And I don't want to bullshit anybody either. Of course, one can see a movie, the decision is not entirely based on the movie. Smoking is an easier thing to follow, but a career change is a more difficult decision to take. But a lot of people took that decision after watching Tamasha. Every day, people tell me that there are more and more examples of people that left their jobs after watching Tamasha. Then I feel that if somebody comes up to me and says that they have left their job after seeing Tamasha, I get a sense of, oh shit, I hope they are successful in their lives.
They do
now.
well, yeah.
And I keep telling them, boss, do well. Meri izzat ka sawal hai. Otherwise, like I'm bearing the burden of your career now, somehow in a strange sort of a way. But it is also somehow retrospectively relieving to feel that somebody who was burdened by a job or a career that they did not like, they took a chance to be free of it and discover what their passion is. There is so much that goes on in trying to make cattle out of people, that if there is at least even the promise of any other way, then it's more freeing.
Yeah.
Then you might try out wildlife photography and then realize after 6 months that, oh, I'm not interested in it anymore, let me go back to being an engineer. At least you feel happier being an engineer after, or whatever the job was.
Job.
I would have loved to be an engineer in my personal life actually, but to get the opportunity or to get the vibe that is also possible for me is so freeing. And I feel that I'm happy to have provided that, the option at least in your mind.
Yeah.
And just to be falsely secure and gung-ho about something which internally is not going so well is not the kind of hypocrisy I stand for.
Yeah.
It is better to see life for what it is so that you can make some positive changes.
Yeah, and I feel that's in an earlier generation it might be called selfish or self-centered, just like Deepika leaving Rahul might be called selfish or self-centered. But I think now we are increasingly realizing that it is important to make ourselves happy or satisfied or fulfilled or whatever it is, not necessarily at the cost of others' happiness, but this is also important because for so many generations it was all about thinking about everybody else. And I think finally this is kind of a nice way to kind of,
Yeah, I feel that people have also realized that the true way of making anybody else happy is to first make yourself okay. I think service is very important, but then to sustain yourself is also important so that you are able to provide that service.
I could talk with you for one more hour, but we've got to wrap up now. But I just have to leave you with this question. I just feel I have to ask you this. Do you believe in manifestation?
Not in the easy way that people today believe that manifestation can happen. Like if I just say that this is going to happen, this is going to happen, this is going to happen. Enough. Like just saying it is not enough. All prayers can be answered. All manifestations can come true. But it has to be your true manifestation. It has to be your true prayer. You can't bullshit with God and ask for something which you don't deserve.
How do you define true prayer?
Something that you don't even have to ask them.
Okay.
Because if you know, God knows. I think
Right.
God is inside you in a way, so to speak, right? So I feel what you feel and can't even articulate to yourself, the universe knows. You do it. You push for it. And if you don't make the effort, nothing is going to move. So in that way, the ease of manifestation, like for a person to say, I'm going to stand first in the class, I'm going to stand first in the class, I'm going to top my university. Just saying it is cheating. It's like, God make me come first in my class, God make me top this university, but I'm not working towards it. That is bullshit. So I don't believe in the convenient manifestation. Manifestation from the heart will come true.
And what are you manifesting for Main Vaapas Aaunga?
I am manifesting a flock of happy people leaving the cinema theatre, emotionally happy people, all with the resolve that मैं वापस आऊँगा to watch it again.
Nice. Thank you so much, Imtiaz. It was such a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
சம்மர் வந்தாச்சு எங்க கிட்ட விட்டுருங்க நாங்க பாத்துக்கிறோம்.
GT Holidays, South India's #1 travel brand.
டார்லிங் ஏசி திருவிழா இந்தியாவிலே குறைந்த மாத தவணையில் ஏசி.
Satyabama Institute of Science and Technology, Chennai and Sri Perumbudur.